This is going to be how to crochet around a styrofoam ball. And if you would prefer to see this as a written instruction with step-by-step images, that is on my website. To begin with, make a slip knot. And if you don't know how to do that, I have a video on it, which I will link. Now chain 2 by yarning over and pulling through the loop on your hook. It should look like this. And we're going to work in the first chain on our chain. And in here we are going to make 6 single crochet. And you make a single crochet by going into the stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, and then you yarn over and you go through both of those loops. I have a video on that as well, if that is also difficult. Luckily, there are 3 things in this video. Single crochet, 2 single crochet in the same stitch, and in this case 6. And then we're going to do some single crochet 2 together. So, slip stitch to join, and you do that by going into the first stitch on your round here, yarning over and pulling through both of the loops on the hook. And I'm just adjusting the hole that is left by the beginning chain by pulling that start thread. Now chain 1, and now we're going to start our algorithm, if you will. And this first round is going to be 0 single crochet in the next stitch. That's weird, I know. And then increase in the next. And an increase you do by doing 2 single crochet in the same stitch. So it's going to make sense why that is 0 in a second. But right now it's just important that you think about you do nothing before the increase and then you increase. And essentially what that becomes is you just increase in every stitch all the way around, so 2 single crochet in every stitch. And that is going to be 6 stitches, so you should have 12, and I'm just counting mine here, just to be really sure. There should be a little bit of a gap when you join the round here with a slip stitch. That is because we have the slip stitch on the round below. If it's very close to the beginning here, count again. You might have made too many stitches, or you might have worked in your slip stitch. So you now have a little round here, and it should lay somewhat flat. To begin the next round, chain 1, and then you're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet in the next. So basically 1 single crochet before the increase, and then an increase. And you're going to repeat this 6 times. So on the first round we had 6 stitches. We then increased all of them until we had 12. So everywhere where we had 1 stitch before, we now have 2 stitches. And on this round, we're then going to increase those 2 into 3. So we're doing 1 single crochet, that takes up the first stitch. And then we're doing an increase in the next stitch. So we have now 3, where before we had 2. And this is I call it an algorithm, but you can call it whatever you want. This is the sequence that we're going to repeat for as many rounds as we need. Oh, and here at the end, of course, you do a slip stitch to join. And at the beginning, you always do 1 chain in order to get some height. But we're going to continue this sequence until the round is as big as the largest part of the styrofoam ball that you're going to crochet around. So the next one, instead of 1 before the increase, we're going to do 2. So 2 single crochet, and then increase in the next, meaning 2 single crochet in the next stitch. And then after that, it's going to be 3, and then 4, and then 5, and so on. So you're always just adding 1 before the increase. This creates a flat circle, which might be a little bit counterintuitive because we're trying to create something spherical, but it is going to be round in the end, I promise. So here we are. And to join the round, we're just going to slip stitch in the first stitch of the round, and then chain, we're going to chain 1 and continue in this way. When it is large enough, and I think mine is now, we're going to continue on to the sides. So what we're creating is essentially a cylinder, but when stretched around the ball, it is going to be spherical. You make the sides by chaining 1 and then doing 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So I call this sides because whenever you do 1 single crochet in each stitch on a round piece, you are going to get something that stands up straight. So we're going to have our flat round, and then we're going to have sides coming off of it, going straight 90 degrees up from it. Or as, as straight and as 90 degrees as something can be when it's crocheted. So basically we have stopped increasing the round and we have now started to move in the other direction, if you will. This is ultimately going to make it more three-dimensional. You're going to make as many rounds here as you need for the piece of crochet you have to cover about 2/3 of the ball. So when you can only see sort of the last remaining third of the styrofoam ball, when you put it into the crochet piece, stop and go to the what is it called? The end. There's 3 parts of this, right? You start by making the round, the flat round. Then you make the sides in the middle, and then you do a flat round on the other side. And I'm going to show you that now. But first, I'll just show you what it looks like with the ball inside of it. So this is about where you should be. And mine might be a little big. You might want yours to be a little smaller, depending, of course, on what result you want. Now we're going to do our starting round, but in reverse. So my biggest round was 4 single crochet and then an increase. So my first round of the reverse would be 4 single crochet and then a decrease. And I'm showing you the decrease now, but I will tell you how to do that on the next one. I'll just show you all the way around. So 4 single crochet and then a decrease. Or you can, you should do the largest number you did on the increase round, you should do here, and then a decrease. The decrease is done by going into stitch and yarning over, pulling up a loop, and doing that in the next one too, and then yarning over and going through all 3 loops on the hook. And then you go into the next repeat, which in my case, again, is the 4 single crochet. And that is 1 too many, so I'll just correct that before we move on. Here we are. So go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, go in, yarn over, pull up a loop. You then have 3 loops on the hook, and you just yarn over and go through all 3 loops on the hook. And of course I have a video on decreasing as well, if that is difficult. I think it is the most difficult thing in this pattern. That, of course, and then when we're going to crochet around the ball with the ball inside of the crochet piece. Finish the round by doing a slip stitch and start the next round by chaining 1. And I am going to continue with my ball inside of it. Now just subtract 1 from the number of stitches before the decrease. So before I had 4, now I'm going to have 3. So 3 single crochet, and then a decrease by going in, pulling up a loop twice, and then going through all 3 loops on the hook. And continue that, and you should have 6 of these all the way around. And yes, it is a little bit awkward doing this around the ball, but it's not that much of an issue. And if, like me, you did it a little bit big, then that makes it easier. When you get to a point like I am now, where you can see that if you closed the remainder of the stitches, it would lay nicely around the ball, just stop. If you can get down to only having the 6 stitches around the opening, that'll be great. I didn't really get there, so I think I still have the 12 stitches here, but of course we are adaptable, and I think it looked nicer with me closing these stitches rather than doing another round of decreases. It would have been too high. So what I'm doing now is I'm just sewing the remainder of the stitches together, and you can do this in every way you want. I'm doing it with a yarn needle. You can do it with your crochet hook if you want. Just pull the yarn through the different stitches and close them at the middle. And of course, if you want to sew this to something or hang it or whatever you want to do with it, just leave the tail thread here. Then you always have something to sew it in with, which is already attached. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you again next Friday.